Good morning, and welcome to today's worship service. We are grateful that you are here with us today. My name is Jeremy Damak. I am the service coordinator for today here at All Souls Church, where our mission is to seek truth, practice love, and celebrate life. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you've been a member here for a long time, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known or not known, or whatever your heritage, you are welcome here. Whatever questions you hold, whatever truths you seek, whatever sorrow you have known, whatever joy has filled your heart, whomever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here. And now for some announcements. I call everyone's attention to the announcement page in the order of service today. Next Sunday's program is at the bottom for folks that are interested. And I continue to urge you to read our weekly email blasts for the dates and details of additional upcoming events and opportunities. If you're not receiving our weekly emails, please sign up for them on the clipboard in the foyer before leaving today. And I invite you to stay for conversation, coffee, and a circle discussion after today's service. Do we have any other announcements that aren't on the order of service? Eric, come on up.
Good morning, I'm Eric, and I wear different hats. And with one hat, I'm in the membership committee, and 2 Sundays from now, on the 26th, there will be a signing of the book. So if people are interested in becoming members, we'll have an opportunity to sign the book. So, contact me, or I'll chase you down, whatever, but 2 Sundays from now. Another announcement, which is kind of a biggie, is that, in the other hat, I'm on the endowment committee. The church has an endowment fund, and that's set way over yonder, and the interest from that endowment fund helps with our monthly, yearly operations budget. Okay, so the endowment is fund there, and we use the interest. The endowment fund was given a gift of $50,000 just a little while ago, which will work out to a little over $100 monthly for our operating budget. We have members that have moved away, and they sold a farm and needed to figure out what did they want to do with the proceeds from that farm. So Susan Randall generously donated that money to our endowment fund to help with the ongoing operations of the church forever. So, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Any other announcements? All right, then we will light the chalice.
Sorry, I do have one. Always forget. Alan asked me to mention that we were going to speak about the rental house situation on the for our service on the 19th, but that group has decided that they need a little bit more time to gather some more information, and so we won't be talking about that on the 19th. Janet has generously decided she'll be speaking on a topic that she selected, so thank you, Janet Kunze, for doing that. So that's all I wanted you guys to know. If you have any questions, you can ask Dan about that. Dan! Thank you, sorry.
Thanks, Liz. Before we light the chalice, we'll do the prelude. Thanks, Carol. And now we will light the chalice. The words we're going to say today when we light the chalice, number 457 in the gray hymnal. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. And now our first song, number 346. Please stand as you are able. Come sing a song with me. And now our first reading is number 609, also in the gray book. And it is responsive reading, so I will read the plain text and please respond with the italics. To serve the people. To worship God is nothing other than to serve the people.
It does not need rosaries, prayer garlands, or robes.
All peoples are members of the same body, created from one essence.
If light brings suffering to one member,
The others cannot stay at rest. Now it's time for a story for all ages. If the kids would like to come up, we're going to read This is the Way We Go to School. Hello, Peter. Good morning. Got just a couple more people coming and then we'll be ready to go. This book is by Edith Bear and illustrated by Steve Bjorkman. All right. One by one, or two by two, come along, it's fun to do. Ellen takes it nice and slow, time to watch the flowers grow. Liz and Larry, as a rule, wear their jogging shoes to school. But at 20 minutes past, roller skates are twice as fast. And the fastest way by far is by school bus or by car. Jenny, Jerry, Pete, and Perry ride the Staten Island Ferry. Cable cars take Jack and Jill up the hill and down the hill. Michael and his friend Miguel see the rooftops from the L. Horse and buggy rides, it's plain, start the day for Jake and Jane. Bianca, Beppo, Benedetto ride aboard the Vaporetto. Oh, and in Philly, Mitch and Molly go to school by trackless trolley. Bundled up against the breeze, Nels and Solvig go on skis. Palm trees keep Ahmed cool on his sunny walk to school. Mira takes time out to play. School's a hop and skip away. And watch Sepp and Heidi sail through the air from peak to vale. Akinyi leaves for school by train far across the mountain chain. Kay and Faye and Flo and Joe go to school by radio. Bicycles bring Mei and Ling through the traffic of Nanjing. And beneath the dripping sky, Ram is riding high and dry. William comes ashore by boat, counting seagulls while afloat. Carlos takes the town in stride. Luz prefers the countryside. And the famous metro line suits Iger and Ileana fine. You come too, we'll look for you. And they talk about where all the kids in this book live, and so if you guys want to take that down to Spirit Play, you can. Now we'll sing the children out. In this congregation, we found it helpful to share the ups and downs of our lives by the practice of taking a stone from a bowl, holding it in our hand, warming it, and expressing our thoughts of joy and or concern, and then placing the stone in the water so that the ripples of the water carry our joys out into the wider world. I will begin by taking a stone and expressing both joy and concern. I am an avid American football fan and a supporter of the Philadelphia Eagles, who are playing today. So joy that they made it to the postseason and concern about their future. And now I invite others to come up and share their joys and concerns as well.
Hello. My name's Eric, and I do have a concern. I have a very dear cousin who lives out in Pasadena, California. And she lives just south of an interstate by about 2 or 3 blocks. North of that interstate, the houses were lost. Her house is okay. That interstate acted as a fire break. She's okay. But the wind knocked trees down to their neighborhood, but power comes back easy, so it's no problem. But her house is safe, but she'll be opening it up for friends who lost their house on the north side of that interstate. So here's a thought for all those people hurting out there.
Hi, I'm Scott. I just wanted to say that the joy of my heart, my happiness in my day has a little bit of bursitis, and she has a little sciatica. And they're both irritating her enough that she doesn't want to do nothing, especially twisting. So she decided to stay home. Oh. Eric, I did talk to someone at my job that got into the fire, and she lost her home, and she was just using the couch of a friend nearby. I wonder if they knew each other.
My name is Christy, and my joy is that I got a new position that is no more weekends and no more holidays.
Hello, it's Bailey. My joy is that we seem to be avoiding germs for now, which 'tis the season to get sick, so I'm happy that we are managing that. And then my concern is that I have decided to start walking my dog twice a day for at least a mile. Normally we just go to the dog park and he just pretends he's a husky. He is not, he's a boxer. He should not be in the winter. And so we went on a walk this morning and that was a terrible decision. It is very cold out. So my concern is that I will never warm up again. But we'll get there.
All right, and I will put final stone in for all the joys and concerns unspoken. Now, let us pause for a moment of silent reflection as we consider what we have just heard and what is in our own hearts and on our own minds. All right, next up is our second song, number 100 in the Gray Book. I've got Peace Like a River. And our second reading is a poem by Emma Lazarus that is in the order of service. The New Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows the worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside this golden door. And now I'll introduce Jen Dreiske to talk about our role as allies.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Oh, great. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a great honor. I love your community. I've been here numerous times in the past, so it's always a joy to be here and to see the building filled with so many great, loving souls. So I work at South Dakota Voices for Peace. I'm the Chief Operations Officer there, and I'm here to talk about what can we do as allies, especially with January 20th coming up around the corner, and we are going to be seeing lots of different changes, and we need to be prepared for the first 100 days of his administration. And so South Dakota Voices for Peace, just a little bit about what we do. We were created in 2017 in response to the Islamophobic and anti-immigrant tropes that we were seeing in Pierre during the legislative session. And we started with 1 employee, and now we are at 11 employees. We have 4 different program areas. One is free immigration legal services for unaccompanied children who have been placed in our state. So when a child presents themselves at the border, they are then, the government finds a sponsor for them somewhere in the United States, whether it's a cousin, an uncle, maybe a parent, a sibling. And then that child is placed in the custody of that sponsor and immediately placed in immigration court proceedings. And our goal is to help them find that legal path to citizenship, and how can we help these kids be kids. And so we have around 70 clients that we work with, but there are close to, I think, 1,500 kids that have been placed in our state in the last 10 years. So we do have a need for immigration services in our community. There's only 5 immigration attorneys in the state. So it's not something that people really look forward to getting into when they become a lawyer, because it is complex and messy, and it takes years. Immigration court is not like civil court proceedings or criminal court proceedings. Immigration court can take upwards of 8 to 12 years to go through all the steps to become a citizen. So when people say, well, when my ancestors came, they did it legally. Well, in the 1800s, immigration looked a little bit different. There wasn't the bureaucratic red tape and all the forms and everything that you have to fill out. So immigration looks much different now than it did 100 years ago or 150 years ago. So keep reminding your neighbors that, nope, things are different. So we can't compare who came over during the Irish potato famine or any of those things. Immigration was much different. And so we also have our multilingual community outreach, where we go into community with information, whatever it is that we're working on, in different languages. So we've done COVID outreach, we've done Medicaid expansion, and now we're doing Know Your Rights. And so we translate this information into Spanish, Nepali, Amharic, and Arabic, and we make sure to get that information to the communities where we go to churches, we go to businesses, we go to community gatherings to make sure we get that information out. We also have education, which is what I'm responsible for, where I go into community to lead difficult and complex conversations on racism and bigotry and what can we do as upstanders, what can we do as concerned citizens to help disrupt what we're seeing, and we're going to be seeing a lot of it, and I'll talk about that during the talking circle of the incidences that have happened in Sioux Falls in just the last week of racism and hatred we have seen. And then there is the rapid response, and that is where we respond to what is going on in the community, and that's kind of what we're right now doing, is we are responding to and preparing community for what is to come with the Trump administration, especially when it comes to immigration. Voices for Peace houses the South Dakota Dream Coalition, and the South Dakota Dream Coalition is a group of nonprofits that are focused on uplifting and working with our immigrant communities. So we have Que Pasa, the South Dakota Hispanic Chamber, we have the Hub, which is the Black Chamber, Benvenidos Brookings, Connecting Cultures in Yankton, Lutheran Social Services. We used to meet on a monthly basis, now we meet on a weekly basis. And we've identified 5 different ways that we can help prepare our communities. And those 5 different ways are know your rights, getting that information out. So like, for example, right now, if ICE came to the door of the church, you would have somebody at the back of the church and you wouldn't let them in. You absolutely do not let ICE in your doors. And so you ask for a warrant, they need to slide the warrant under the door. You have to open up the warrant, look to see if there's a judge's signature on it, and look for the person's name. It can't just be a blanket, come in and grab everybody. It actually has to have a name. If that person is in your presence, then you need to turn them over to ICE, however difficult that may be, but then they can be on their way. If you let ICE in your door by accident, just thinking, oh, come on in, you have given a free-for-all for them to come and take anybody. And so this applies to your home, your house of worship, your workplace, anywhere. So we are getting that information out. Next Monday, Inauguration Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we have a call to action at Voices for Peace. We're looking for volunteers to come to our office at First Congregational Church from 9 to 1, or Tuesday from 12 to 4. We have the information, the flyers, the Know Your Rights in the different languages and QR codes to our website. And we're asking community to pick 5 businesses, immigrant, refugee-owned businesses, that you will drop that information off. And most of these places have community bulletin boards, and asking to place this information on the bulletin board. And this is a great way to get to know your community, get to know the gems of the different restaurants and grocery stores that are throughout Sioux Falls. So it's an opportunity for you to connect with people, but then also show our community that they are supported and they are loved. And then we have Sanctuary. What does Sanctuary look like? Sanctuary churches. And so I'm part of a group, Church World Services, for representing Voices for Peace, talking about what does Sanctuary look like in a red state when Sanctuary is not an option here, while it is an option in other places. Then there's family preparedness, teaching families about what they need to have in their go bag. They need to have all of their documentation, passport, birth certificates, marriage licenses, list of medications, all of that, because, and it has to be in a spot, so if somebody is detained, then other people know, okay, this is where all the information is at, and we can proceed. The issue is that some of these kids don't know that their parents are undocumented. And so during raids, historically what has happened is the parents are detained during, sometimes during school time, and then the kids get out of school and nobody's picking them up. And then their parents are detained, and they may not see their parents unless they go back to home country if they're deported. So we need to educate family on what do they need to do, power of attorney, who's that extra person in the community that will help take care of children if they are detained or dealing with ICE. Then we are putting together a multilingual news podcast where we are going to be, hopefully this week, recording it over at the hub, where we will have Know Your Rights in different languages, and we have folks in the communities who will be recording this so that we can just blast it out in Nepali and Amharic and Spanish and Arabic. And then, of course, legislative session, getting involved in legislative session. Right now, the legislature is the group that has the most powers, the Freedom Caucus. And so I would put them in the very extreme bucket. And they are already putting forth legislation, 10 commandments in the schools, working with ICE, no sanctuary allowed. So we'll be seeing lots of different things come forward. And we need people who are willing to go to peer, to drive people to peer so that people can testify and so that people can witness. We need to be a part of the legislative process. We need to be involved in what is going on in those committees. And so we're hoping to keep sending information out that we receive from our lobbyists. But what I wanted to share is talking about the sanctuary and talking about what your community is able to do. Because sometimes we feel really paralyzed in the chaos and we go into freeze and think, oh gosh, what can I do? Or you don't want to make anything worse, so you don't know what to do. And so the first thing I want to talk about is our roles as allies, especially white allies, is that we need to acknowledge the privilege that we all have as white people, in that we get to open the door and walk in. And so understanding that we all have this privilege, and what are we willing to leverage? What are we willing to do with that privilege to help uplift our communities? And we can't decide what it is. We need to listen to our communities. We need to hear from the communities. And we need to be in a space to hear it. It may not be what we want. It may not be what we think should happen, but we need to be humble enough to hear what they have to say. We need to challenge racism. And you can, if you took we offer the bystander to upstander training, and that's how we give tools on how to disrupt bigotry and racism. Building relationships just by simply going into a new grocery store, going into a new restaurant. The grocery store at Mogadishu just up the street by Lewis on 10th and Cliff there. It's an amazing grocery store. Going to India Bazaar, going to Mekong, going to all these places just to say hi and to just say, I am new. Could you show me around, or tell me more about this place? You don't need to know anything. You just want to come in with this idea of curiosity. One of my favorite teachings is that curiosity and judgment cannot live in the same space. So it's really important that we stay curious when we continue to do these works. Take action. And that is one of the easiest things you can do, is through donations or just showing up and learning or bringing guest speakers in. And then just understand the difference between being an ally and being a savior. So an ally is there to support marginalized communities. A savior is there to be a hero. So it's really important we unhook our ego from this. We're doing this to uplift the communities. We're not doing this to uplift ourselves. So some of the things that we talk about in Sanctuary here in Sioux Falls, I've put together a group of clergy, and we met for the first time this week, and I shared with them my ideas. And we'll have another meeting on January 31st at 2 p.m. So if there's somebody at All Souls who would like to be the representative for the community, to have your voice heard on those calls, just email me, and I can send out that Zoom link. Right now, it's predominantly ELCA pastors. We do have some UCC and Episcopalian, but we're hoping to get as many people involved as possible. So some of the ways that your community can help is looking at sanctuary differently, and it doesn't mean housing undocumented community members in your church 24/7 until things pass, until a new president. That's not what sanctuary is allowed to be in our state. So one is partnering with Voices for Peace, like what you're doing. It's working with immigration lawyers, provide financial assistance through donations, identify notaries in your community, because notaries are so essential for the power of attorneys. So it is just notarizing some really important paperwork. And we're hoping to create opportunities where, for example, we could bring the community to Our Lady of Guadalupe with Caminando Juntos and just have notaries there, just so that people can bring the things in. I'm a notary. It's very easy. You stamp and sign, and then they're on their way. Another way is educational outreach, and that is like bringing people like me in to talk to you about what is going on. Offering English as a second language to community members, but why not offer Spanish to congregants so that we can help better communicate? Why does it have to be all about English? Why not, how about us learn a little bit of Spanish? Develop social media posts on what sanctuary used to mean and what it can mean, and bringing in training, like our bystander to upstander. There's community engagement, and this is where come as a team to the Know Your Rights, so that people know that All Souls is out there doing it. So when you are handing out that information to these businesses, you have something that denotes that you're with All Souls Unitarian. That's a great way of saying, hey, I'm on your side, and we're a safe space if you just need a place to be in community. Volunteer with Lutheran Social Services to see what they need with the resettlement program. And of course, they have an immigration attorney, and so just reaching out to Lutheran Social Services. They're taking donations right now because they're trying to get as many people resettled before January 20th. So they need clothes, they need housewares, and they even have somebody who will come to your house and pick it up. So they are in need of that immediately. Organize community events to foster understanding and connection between your immigrant communities and yourself. And I think you're already doing that by creating spaces for other people to come and use your house of worship as theirs. I think that's brilliant. Sponsor after-school activities with monetary donations, equipment, or space. So this is really geared towards houses of worship that have gyms, so that if they, there is soccer teams that practice all year round, immigrant soccer teams like Atlas Academy. I always have to do a plug because my son is on the team. And we practice all year round, and it is primarily kids from Mexico, Guatemala. We have kids from Ethiopia. So we have many languages that are spoken on the team, and they need spaces. They keep growing out of spaces because there's such a high need. Advocacy efforts. This is where you get involved in the legislative process. This is where you become a watchdog. Go on the Zoom calls to see what's being done in legislative sessions. Stay on top of what is happening. There's lots of things that are happening, defunding of libraries, defunding of public television and public radio. Get yourself involved in that process, and don't keep thinking, oh, it's just in Pierre, there's nothing I can do. There's always something we can do. And so it's joining forces with people who are doing the work. Write letters to local newspapers and policy makers advocating for immigrant rights. Participate in rallies and protests. And identify legislators and their faith traditions to learn more about the legislators. And so in trying to find ways that we can be more inclusive in our language with legislators, because we don't want to immediately put them in the bad guy spot while we're talking to them because they're going to shut down. Just like if I was put in the bad guy spot, I usually shut down or I get really upset. Welcoming practices. This is where you translate some of your information into multiple languages. Create a culturally sensitive environment within the church. Offer mentorship programs connecting immigrants with established church members. So if there are people that are wanting to volunteer, the helpline has a list of different ways that people can volunteer throughout the community to be able to positively affect our immigrant community. And of course, there's always financial support. We always need financial support. Voices for Peace. We are grant funded and donation funded. And the majority of how we operate is through donations. And so even as simple as a $10 a month donation is something that can help pay the postage for one of these just the filings that we have to do every month for all of our clients. It can help pay for lots of different services that the legal services needs. You can pay to have the trainings. All of that money goes back into Voices for Peace to help us continue to do the work. We know that we have a long road ahead of us, and we know that we need to keep strategizing and being consistent. And that's where we need the support from communities like you for us to be able to continue to do that work. It is really important to create opportunities for storytelling. And so, like, for example, All Souls helped with the sponsorship with having Achut Dang come and speak. That's what we need to hear. We need to hear stories, because stories is what hits the heart. Once it hits the heart, it gets into the brain, right? If we don't feel it, a response to something is generally not going to soak in. And storytelling takes it out of the world of stereotypes and brings it into something that is real. It's not something so far away. So it's really important to find people in the community to come tell their story. So just hearing it, then you know you can share that story out in community to help change hearts and minds when it comes to immigration. In the Bible, in the Old and New Testament, I don't believe there are any negative verses on immigration. It's all about welcoming the stranger. So we need to figure out what can we do with the sacred text, because the legislators are using the sacred text to justify banning abortion, justify banning anti-LGBTQ legislation. So let's use the same text, if they're reading it so closely. Let's show them, what does it say about immigration? And it's all positive, and we're all commanded to welcome the stranger. We need to find out why immigration is such a divisive topic to begin with. So it is within the community doing a deep dive, of having honest conversations, of why does this become such a divisive topic that brings up so many emotions? What is it that makes us feel the way we feel? And we have to give grace for the people we're talking to, because most of our opinions are based on our own experiences. And experiences include what we see on TV and what we read. And so being kind and compassionate in those conversations and not dismissive when somebody comes to you and has the exact opposite of what you think, you can ask the open-ended question, how did you come to that thought? Can you tell me a little bit more? Just to find out, why is it that people are so upset with immigration, the topic of immigration? And then it's denomination resources, making sure that if the Unitarian as a whole, if they have a statement on a national level or international level, a statement on immigration, push that out. ELCA is finding their statement on immigration, push it out. We need to get people to see that on a larger level, we're not all alone in this immigration fight. So I would ask that you join us on January 20th or 21st. So it's 9 to 1 or 2 on on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and then Tuesday from 12 to 4. The reason why we did 2 different times is some businesses are closed on Monday, and some businesses are closed on Tuesday. So we just wanted to make sure that we have opportunity for people to hand those things out. And you don't have to hand them out right at that moment. It's just a time to pick that information up so that at your convenience, we'll give you the address and where to go. And you just agree to take 5 spots. You don't have to do all of them. We have a list of almost 100 places around town that it can go to. So we would like as many volunteers to show up. So with that, I really appreciate you creating this space, and I really appreciate this community's curiosity. Curiosity is so important for all of humanity, I think, and we lose sight of the value of being curious. So I really appreciate all that you're doing to support and support our communities, all the communities throughout Sioux Falls. So I think that's it. I sped through things.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. And now it's time to accept the offering. All right, now we will recite the words to receive the offering. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. Now it's time for our third and final reading today, number 464 in the Gray Book. And this is also a responsive reading, so I will read the plain text and please respond with the italics. And then all that has divided us will merge. And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both women and men will be strong. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth. And now for our third and final song, number 1064 in the Teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home. Now we'll extinguish the chalice before we head down for coffee. And I invite everybody to come back up at around 20 after for the circle discussion. The chalice is extinguished, but the light goes with us out into the world.
Thank